lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino calling line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
All right. We got action in the transfer portal for the first time in a minute. The Sooners have a fourth wide receiver pledge out of the portal. Fourth and, to my understanding, last wide receiver pledge of this portal cycle for Oklahoma. They had previously added Keontez Lewis from Southern Illinois, Giovanni Gibson from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Isaiah Satania from Arkansas. Today, they pick up a commitment from former Cal wide receiver Josiah Martin. And that's where we're going to kick things off here on Locked In on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Thank you all for tuning in, whether you're a regular listener or just trying to pass the time on New Year's Eve because you got a day off work. We appreciate you joining us. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Usually Tyler McComas is in Grayson's seat for this show, but he is out enjoying some vacation, as well he should. And Grayson and I got you for the next hour, leading into the rush, which will kick off at 3 p.m., and then it's me and the Buckus Award winner, Teddy Lehman, all the way up until 6. Grayson, how we feeling, sir?
What is going on? I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, another day in paradise, as they say. And good news for Oklahoma today.
Right?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. It depends on your perspective also, because Josiah Martin joins the Oklahoma family, joins this portal class for the Sooners as, and I've lost track here, I believe their 11th commit of the portal cycle, if I am not mistaken. Now, Keontez Lewis, Giovanni Gibson, Isaiah Satania were already on board. The Sooners were hunting for one more wide receiver, and I'd said repeatedly on these airwaves, Grayson, that I felt like you needed a difference maker at wide receiver. You needed to go get a dude. Now, you look at Josiah Martin's production at Cal, 12 catches for, 112 yards? Is that what it was? 122 yards, something like that?
12 catches, 112.
There you go. Did not do a whole lot for them as a true freshman this past year. And your immediate thought is, well, there's a bench warmer. There's a scrub. I'll tell you. I think Josiah Martin's going to give Oklahoma a little something in 2025. I've been a big fan of that kid since his high school days, and we'll dig into that a little bit more here in just a second. I'm curious what the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line thinks, 405-651-3439. But I want to give you all some backdrop on how this came together and why it came together as quickly as it did. Also, shameless plug, this is why you subscribe at OUinsider.com, because you knew Josiah Martin's name, you knew the details of the situation before anybody did, if you're subscribed over there at OUinsider.com on the Rivals Network. Josiah Martin was a guy that Oklahoma had flirted with in the 2024 cycle. He was high school teammates with Jackson Arnold at Denton Guyer High School. He was Jackson Arnold's favorite target. Those two had chemistry. Josiah, as a junior, had an explosive breakout season that ultimately landed him over 30 FBS scholarship offers. Oklahoma was not one of them. Oklahoma did not offer Josiah Martin out of high school. Now, as I understand it, and this was the rub with several receiver prospects in the 2024 class, of which Josiah Martin was one, he had Emmett Jones' stamp of approval. Emmett Jones wanted to move on him. Jeff Lebby, to my understanding, did not. And so that was the hang-up. That was why, although Oklahoma flirted with Josiah Martin, hosted him for a visit. Not only was he a high school teammate of Arnold, but he was a 7-on-7 teammate of Michael Hawkins and Devon Mitchell. Even so, they chose, in the end, not to pursue him. He committed to Boston College. Towards the tail end of the cycle, he backed off of that commitment and flipped to Cal. Goes out to Cal, plays a little bit as a true freshman. He was stuck behind a much more experienced wideout with a lot of collegiate production to his name in that Cal system. But you saw him make a few plays in the bowl game, got his first expanded action of the year. and was able to do a little something with it. Now, Josiah Martin, when he made the decision to get in the transfer portal, wanted to come to Oklahoma. And there were a lot of people back in the OU DFW circle, which is a large circle, Grayson.
Of course.
I mean, if you look at the Ref Army locator every day, the largest contingent of our listenership is obviously in the state of Oklahoma. The second largest is DFW. A lot of OU folks in DFW. A ton of them.
Predictably.
There were a lot of folks in that circle, a lot of influential folks that wanted to make the marriage happen, if you will, between Oklahoma and Josiah Martin a year and a half after it had the potential to happen, and due to factors that realistically are no longer in play because Jeff Lebby's the head coach at Mississippi State now as opposed to the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. It just didn't happen then. But they wanted it to happen now. Josiah Martin wanted it to happen now. And as soon as he hit the portal, Emmett Jones and the Oklahoma recruiting staff took a look at him. The thing you got to understand about this time of year, especially in the aftermath of the bowl game, is the staff's kind of scattered to the winds. They're not all back in the offices, right? It's the end of the season. Everybody's taking a breather. Everybody's spending time with family for the holidays, as well they should. And so not everybody's in the same place. You can't walk into the meeting room, say, all right, everybody take a look at this kid. Let's decide if we're going to move on him or not. You have to jump through some hoops communication-wise to make sure that everybody places the stamp of approval on a guy like Josiah Martin. So that took a little time. In the meantime, Pitt and Virginia, to my understanding, were two schools that made a hard push for Josiah Martin and put a lot of money on the table. But he was always going to be willing to take less if he could come to Oklahoma. Now, in the past 24 hours, all of the requisite stamps occurred, and Oklahoma made the decision, all right, we're going to go after Josiah Martin. We'll schedule his visit. We'll start working up the contract on the NIL side of things. And Josiah Martin is scheduled to visit in the coming days. When the dead period lifts, he will be on campus. I was kind of figuring, as were many, that, okay, he'll visit, he'll commit, done deal, open and shut, right? Well, this kid's so stoked about the opportunity that exists for him at Oklahoma that he didn't even wait till the visit. He decided to just go ahead and lock in. Again, familiarity with campus. He's been up here before, likes Ben Arbuckle's system, likes the possibility of catching passes from John Mateer and Mike Hawkins. A lot makes sense here, and I will go back to my original observation, Grayson. I think Josiah Martin's a dang good football player. You go back and you look at the offer sheet, consider all the schools that were interested. He had an Alabama offer. He had a Tennessee offer. He had an offer from Malcolm Kelly at TCU. He committed to Boston College in the first place because he's also a very high academic achiever. And that's a school that I think tuition there is like $90,000 a year.
Give or take.
Yeah, and so he decided, and it was kind of surprising when he made that decision in the first place because all the big-time offers that he had, but he decided to commit to Boston College. That whole staff, I mean, they cleaned house, right? Bill O'Brien comes in. There's a turnover on staff. Josiah Martin figures, okay, I ought to reevaluate my options. As late in the process as he decommitted, Cal was one of the few that was still available to him, so he heads out there for a year. But I watched a lot of this kid in high school on Friday nights and in 7-on-7. What I will say is, and I don't want to oversell him, but I also don't want to undersell him by any means. The jury's still out on what kind of college player he's going to be. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. He's a true freshman, sophomore to be. So developmentally, he is not right now what he is going to be by the conclusion of his collegiate career, obviously. But to me, he's kind of a poor man's Marvin Mims. If you go and you look at his high school tape, you look at the route running ability, the ability to go make contested catches, the strong hands, the length. There's a lot to me that's reminiscent of Marvin Mims' style of play. So am I trying to sell you on this guy being a 1,000-yard receiver next year for Oklahoma? No, not necessarily. But by no means is this somebody that's just going to come and sit and occupy space on the bench. And, oh, yeah, there you go, another transfer from some useless school out west. Picking off true freshmen from Cal's roster. Yep, that's where Oklahoma is. No, I think Josiah Martin is much more talented than many will probably give him credit for because of the production in 2024 and where he was previously.
Okay, so he's the 4th receiver in the portal that Oklahoma has taken. How does he fit in with the rest of that class and as well as Deion Burks? Because you have Burks coming back. You have the 3 others you got in the portal. Ivan Carrion showed us a little something.
He did
in the bowl game. I thought he played really well. So now where does Josiah Martin fit in all of this next season for your estimation?
I am perfectly comfortable acknowledging that I have no idea. I have absolutely and to me, the reason that I can't say definitively what the depth chart looks like is because it's just so hard to project, particularly with a guy like Giovanni Gibson that has never played FBS football before but has torn it up at the FCS level.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a guy that's going to translate or not?
Jaden Gibson
we have
coming
to see,
back too.
Yeah, we have to see, is Jaden Gibson the same guy he was before his injury? Deion Burks, you can count on him if healthy. He's going to be a dude. A lot of potential in that wide receiver room, kind of a adjacent situation, if you will, to the whole tight end discussion. A ton of potential, a lot of possible contributors. You just don't really know how it's going to shake out until they get the opportunity to compete with one another on the practice field. So you will see Josiah Martin on the field next year catching passes. It could be 15 catches. It could be 55. I don't know. But I believe, firmly believe, that he is going to factor into the equation in some meaningful capacity for Oklahoma at wide receiver.
And then my next observation is, because I was looking at his size, he's listed at 5'11", 170 when he first got to Cal. You think he's put on a lot more weight
He's about
than that.
185 right now.
Okay.
185.
Billy Bowman gone. Gavin Sawchuk possibly gone. Is he a factor in terms of maybe solidifying this kick return situation that has been an adventure for the entirety of Venables' tenure
I
here?
don't believe he has much, if any, experience returning, because you must consider that while at Denton Guyer, not only was he teammates with Jackson Arnold, he was teammates with the Bowen brothers, who were handling all of the return responsibilities. So does he factor into the equation there? I really don't think so.
But it's not as if Peyton Bowen is infallible as a
No,
returner.
certainly not. Certainly not. But when it comes to kick return and just special teams in general, I think you probably want to rely on guys that have done it before and done it regularly. I guess it could happen. I wouldn't count on it. Somebody on the text line asked, is he a PWO? No, he's not a PWO. He has a scholarship at the University of Oklahoma. Chris in Chicago says, wait, he can catch passes. Wide receiver 1 incoming. Yep, there you go. There you go, Chris. He has 2 hands that work. A very valuable addition for the Oklahoma receiver room. By the way, did we have a hot mic incident?
When you and I were discussing something, I left it on for a half second.
Oh, I see. We got several texts about that,
Yeah,
as we usually do.
I know, I saw that.
Well, far from the most incriminating hot mic incident that we've had on these airwaves, I imagine. I tell you, like, before you were here, I think this was OU Texas weekend 2022, which perfect microcosm of how that weekend went.
Okay.
There was, and I can't remember, I don't think it was Connor running the board. I think it was maybe an intern that we had at the time, something like that. I was down at the Omni. Steely was at Riverwind. Neither of us are in studio. And the mics were left open for the entire break.
Oh, no.
So, like, and I typically don't talk during breaks unless I'm conversing with someone, which generally would occur out in the hallway. But Steely is constantly chattering,
yes.
Right? And so everybody, and I mean the text line is blowing up about it. We get hundreds of texts in the span of a couple of minutes. I forget what he was even talking about. I don't think it was anything sports related, but he's just yammering all throughout this break, and everybody can hear it over the commercials.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I don't remember who it was that was running the board at the time, but somehow they were oblivious to all of this. They were completely unaware of the fact that Steely's mic was going out on the broadcast intermingled with the commercials.
And Steely's unpredictable with what he could be
Oh
talking
yeah.
about.
Oh yeah.
We
did not have an FCC violation that day. I was impressed with him.
To your credit, Parker, if you get caught on a hot mic, the chances that it's going to be something that can get somebody in trouble are pretty low. I've never heard you say a curse word. Me, on the other hand, or Steely, we're treading in some different water here.
Oh, hot mic incidents. One of the constants as the years go by in the radio industry. I myself do it from time to time. I usually catch myself. I'll hear like Tyler bang on the table or something through the headphones. Somebody like, oh shoot, I got to bring the mic down. But they happen every so often, despite the muscle memory that you cultivate. On
the text line from the 469, real fast. I do need to edit something I did say. What did you guys say about Gavin Sawchuk? He is gone, is what I heard. No, I didn't. I totally misspoke there. I did not expect him to be returning kicks next year.
Oh, gotcha.
That is what I was trying to communicate. So, my fault on that one.
No doubt. A 918 listener says Isaiah Satania is a heck of a returner. Yeah, that's a guy that I would believe has a leg up in that competition over a lot of the guys that he will be competing with because of what he's done at Arkansas. Somebody the 501 said, how about Dusty's hot mic in the spring game? Oh boy, that was a whole fiasco.
What was that one?
He said into a hot mic during, or I guess coming out of a commercial break, he didn't realize they were live. Jaron Kanek had just had a bust on the previous play, and he said, I don't think you can play him.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a popular point of discussion on social media the next few days, is that hot mic
can
incident.
Imagine.
Also because it happened on TV and not on the radio.
Oh.
It's a lot easier, because think about this. You say something live on the radio, poof, it's gone.
Yes.
I mean, we release the podcasts after the fact.
But half the people that are listening are driving anyway.
That's true. You say something on a hot mic on TV, everybody can just rewind 10 seconds the way that TV works these days.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, how many people has it gotten fired? Tom Brenneman, where you at?
Tom Brenneman's calling games again.
I know. On what, like the CW or something like that?
He made an appearance somewhere else. I was like, that is somebody I never thought we'd hear from again.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully that day of reckoning will never come for any of us, at least not the way it happened to him. At least we got the Nick Castellanos meme out of that whole debacle.
That was fantastic. Oh, you heck. A 95-yard run up the middle proved Dusty right.
Yeah, Dusty, he was many things. Wrong is not one of them. Because Jaron Kanek did not play a whole heck of a lot in 2024.
Dusty's over here doing studio work for ESPN.
I know. They fly him into Bristol for that? I guess they must have.
I guess so.
Good for you, Dusty. Our KREF colleague, Dusty Dvorak, on network television today. We are here in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. This is Locked In, and we will continue fielding your texts and discussing all things OU recruiting and transfer portal on the other side. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll hit a break, come right back. Keep it here.
This is Jaron Kanek, and you're listening to The Ref.
Hornsdown Apple Pie Liquor is not your grandma's apple pie unless your grandma was a moonshiner with a PhD in flavor. This all-natural, 6-time distilled spirit is sure to light up any party, tailgate, or special occasion. Whether toasting a touchdown or yelling at the ums because Spike was safe, Hornsdown Apple Pie is the perfect drink for celebrating the highs and lows of life in Oklahoma. Hornsdown celebrates all of you who cheer from the berm, tailgate, on Lindsay Streak, and wreak havoc on social media. You can find our red bottle at your local liquor store or search for your closest location at drinkhornsdown.com.
Action.
Sidelined by injury? Valor Physical Therapy can help. With 25 locations statewide, now Tulsa too, Valor knows what it takes to get you back in the game faster. Start now at valorpt.com or 405-265-6449. No referral needed. Mention the ref for a free t-shirt at your first appointment. ValorPT.com.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
A new year brings lots of OU games and events to attend between basketball, baseball, gymnastics, and more. Stop by Balfour of Norman for a new lucky shirt or hat for the new year and go out and support the Sooners. From OU softball jerseys with player names to fan favorite shirts and hats, Balfour is Sooner fans' favorite locally owned store for more than 45 years. Both basketball teams are ranked, so stop by and get that basketball apparel before heading to the LNC. But it's not just another t-shirt shop. You'll find so much more at Balfour, with sizes ranging from newborn through adult and the latest styles. There is something for every Sooner fan. The gift selection is amazing at Balfour. Whether it's something for your home, office, or the yard, you will find decorative serving pieces, desk accessories, wall art, flags, yard games, the list goes on. There are also OU auto and golf accessories. If it says Sooners, Balfour probably has it. There is always something new and exciting at Balfour. So stop by and say Boomer Sooner and shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Things like grass clippings and leaves can contribute harmful levels of nutrients into our surface and drinking water. We must improve water quality at Lake Thunderbird, our main drinking water source, which begins with taking care of our stormwater. Bag your clippings when mowing, or leave them to break down and nourish your lawn. We drink our stormwater, so don't blow it by leaving your grass clippings in the street. For more information, visit bit.ly/Norman Stormwater.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'll tell y'all, Grayson Singleton is evil. You all heard that, right? I know some of you did because you mentioned it on the text line. We're talking about Dusty Dvorak hating on Jaren Kanak during the spring game. And then Grayson rolls us into a break with, "Hi, this is Jaren Kanak, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans."
I feel like we've got to pull back the curtain on how these breaks go. So,
he claims this was accidental, too.
So here's how
if I'm in his shoes, I'm just taking credit for that. I'm just taking credit for doing it intentionally, even if that isn't the case.
Look, there are some things that I will take credit for. Being an a-hole on the radio is not one of them. Now, let me explain. So basically, we have to put all these commercials into a cart, and then we start the whole break, and it goes. And we can cycle through whichever promo that we want. I built this break within the first 5 minutes of our first segment, and completely forgot which promo I had lined up. So when I hit play, the first thing that went through my mind was, oh, Lord. I love radio, man.
Oh, what a fun time we have on these airwaves with all of you. By the way, how about this? You want to hear from the newest Sooner? Josiah Martin, transfer wide receiver from the University of California, Berkeley, formerly of Denton-Guyer High School. He's going to join the Ref at 5 o'clock. So, top of the 5 o'clock hour.
Yo, already got that.
Yeah.
Well done by you.
Thank you. I've known Josiah Martin a minute.
Well done.
Sometimes,
well done, Parker.
Not always. Like sometimes, like for instance, the kid that I just covered, or I say just. What just happened was this kid transferred from South Alabama to Northeastern State up in Tahlequah last night. An announcement came out, I'm committed to Northeastern State. I covered this kid back in 2020 when he was a 4-star defensive end prospect from Portland, Oregon that wound up committing to Oklahoma over Stanford. Nathan Rollins Kabonge is his name. Some of you will remember him. He lasted 1 year at Oklahoma, never appeared in a game, transferred to South Alabama, spent 3 seasons there, now has 1 year of eligibility left, and is going to finish it off where it all started for him in the Sooner State, albeit at the D2 level and not the D1 level. So sometimes, you cover these kids, and years later, they're playing at Northeastern State. And you're like, wow, that's a blast from the past. And you haven't had any reason to talk to or think about this kid in years.
Was this one of those situations where you just looked into your phone and was like, I wonder if I still have his number?
You talking about
Josiah Martin?
No. Trust me. The Josiah Martin thing has been in the works for a while. And that's not too far off in the distant past either. Like Oklahoma was flirting with offering him about 1.5 years ago. And at the time, he really wanted the OU offer. If OU had offered him, he would have committed. And so a kid like that, especially when you get the chance to interact with them in person time and time and time again, that's how you become effective at the job. Is there's got to be a level of trust and connection with these kids, and the only way you cultivate that is going face-to-face with them. They talk to so many people on the phone that, they're not going to be able to put a face to a name unless they see your face. And so generally in the winter, spring, even the summer, I'm out traveling all over the place within the Central Time Zone, even outside of it, to cover these kids in person, get to know them. And dig into their whole recruitment process. And so Josiah Martin was a kid that even after it became apparent that OU was not going to move on him, I stayed in contact with him. He winds up at Cal, and, he goes and plays there. And I hadn't talked to him in several months, but, he gets in the transfer portal, and it's not difficult to see that name appear and think, okay, I guess pending what Oklahoma wants to do, there may be reason for me to hit this kid's line again. And so that's what happened. And as soon as Josiah Martin announced his commitment to Oklahoma earlier this afternoon, I shot him a text. I said, hey, let's get you on the ref. He said, boom, let's make it happen. I got training, but once I'm done with training, we can do it. So he's going to join the show at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. You guys will get to hear from Josiah Martin. Let's see what else we have on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Recruiting Boomer says, Nathan Rollins Kabonge chose the wrong sport. He should have played basketball, but hindsight is always 20/20. You were right about that. At the time OU started recruiting him for football, he was committed to play basketball at Washington State.
Really?
Yes. He may have played basketball at South Alabama, too, briefly. He came to Oklahoma with aspirations of doing both. There are several guys in recent years, Jacoby Johnson being another notable example. Several guys have come to Oklahoma with aspirations of playing 2 sports. Nobody has actually done it. C.J. Nixon has that aspiration. Weatherford's own.
Mm-hmm.
Is it actually going to happen for him? I'm not sure. But
Jaden Nickens was committed here at one point in time.
That is true. And one of the rubs with him, among other things, part of the reason there was, I wouldn't call it a falling out between him and Oklahoma, but part of the reason that they decided to go their separate ways is he was really insistent upon playing basketball, and Oklahoma wanted him to play football. I think it worked out for him. He landed at Kansas. They're going to give him the chance to play both sports.
It's a good situation.
Playing basketball in Allen Fieldhouse, man. Yeah, that worked out for Jaden Nickens. I'm happy for him. I have a Jaden Nickens story. The very first time I met Jaden Nickens, he was in 8th grade. And I met him behind Dunham College after an OU football game. I think he was there for a basketball visit. And I don't know why he stopped me, of all people. I think it's because I was wearing a 24/7 sweatshirt. And he was like, dude, you got Instagram? And so I stopped and we chatted for like 10 or 15 minutes. Lo and behold, 3-4 years later, he's a blue chip football prospect who's got plenty of collegiate interest in basketball as well. Tattoo Baker asks, does Kyler Murray exist? Yes, Kyler Murray does exist. And there are guys. I was thinking more specifically football and basketball. If I said two sports more broadly, I apologize. That wasn't what I was trying to get across. My point was football and basketball specifically. I think the last guy that has done it at Oklahoma was Dean Blevins.
Really?
I think it's been almost a half century. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I know the text line will, because there are people that have lived much more life than I had and watched a lot more OU athletics than I have. But I don't think anybody since Dean has played football and basketball at Oklahoma.
It is also really, really hard to play both football and basketball at the collegiate level. It's a lot harder to do that than baseball.
Well, because you have crossover between the two seasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And basketball is a more physical game than we give it credit for.
No doubt.
Yours truly is an epitome of that one.
Glenn from Nashville says, Parker, you might have touched on this already, but with the entry of Lewis Carter into the transfer portal, you mentioned OU might need some linebacker depth. Is there anybody currently in the portal that you're aware of that we might target? There's a guy that they've been targeting for quite some time. We did discuss this yesterday. I will give you a refresher if you weren't able to tune into yesterday's show, Glenn in Nashville. But Kendall Daniels is the name to know. Former Oklahoma State Cowboy. Beggs, Oklahoma native, a guy that OU recruited heavily out of high school. And the interesting component to that whole process is that, as I understand it, he was not the biggest fan of Zach Alley for one reason or another. Well, now Zach Alley is out of the picture, and there is a clear and obvious need for Oklahoma at linebacker. Whereas that need maybe didn't exist when Lewis Carter was on the roster. You would have had 8 scholarship linebackers at that point and figured, okay, well, you can get by with that. With Lewis Carter out of the picture, you absolutely have to take another linebacker. You absolutely have to bring in a transfer. And so Kendall Daniels makes a lot of sense. OU has ramped up contact with Kendall Daniels in the last couple of days, as I understand it. And I think that's one that Oklahoma should reasonably be able to wrap up pretty expeditiously. He's an Oklahoma kid. He originally signed with Texas A&M out of high school.
Yep.
He lasted, 2 months in College Station before he was right back home in the Sooner State, signing with Oklahoma State over Oklahoma, because at the time, I can't remember whether it was OU wanted to play him at linebacker and he didn't want to play linebacker, or safety and he didn't want to play safety. He and Alex Grinch did not vibe with regard to positional fit. But he spent his whole collegiate career here, and he gets the opportunity to be a Sooner. I'd imagine, knowing what I know about him and his process, that's an opportunity he's going to jump on. We'll see.
Now, it is we do need to clarify something about him. He did start as a safety. He started as a safety, put on a bunch of weight over the offseason to make the transition to linebacker in that weird scheme that Oklahoma State ran with Brian Nardo the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He also did not have a very good year this year. He was a nightmare in terms of tackling. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of bad angles, and he's not great, particularly in coverage. Now, at his best, in 2023 with Oklahoma State, he had 105 tackles. Somehow, some way, he just lost. I want to blame it on the position change and the weird, just terrible scheme that Oklahoma State was running. I want to blame it on that, but his 2024 was not great. And neither was anything in Oklahoma State. So just keep that in mind. I think he would fit in better with this system because I think he is a quintessential cheetah. I think with his experience playing safety, now he's got the size of a linebacker. It didn't seem to affect his speed too much. So I do think that's a possibility there.
And that's what they want Kendall Daniels to do.
That was going to be my question. That was going to be my question.
If he winds up at Oklahoma, he'll be playing the cheetah spot.
And I think that's the best fit.
Yeah, and that enables you to make what I think is the sensible move with Sammy Omasigo, which is to slide him inside and give him a lot more run. He'll still be able to play cheetah.
I think he's better at linebacker, though.
I agree.
By the way, Kendall Daniels, really good basketball player, too, in high school.
Was he really?
He was.
I don't cover basketball recruiting at all. I got a guy for that. We'll get him on the show at some point. Brody Lusk. He's the man. Yep. He's the man. That's a whole different world, man.
Oh, I know it is.
Not a world. I dipped my toe into it for a while, and I quickly realized, I can't do this. This is so radically different from covering football recruiting.
Oh, it is. Pre my injuries, I was involved with it in high school. It's a horrible world.
Ferris from Hong Kong on the text line says, John Blake couldn't find a punter one year and grabbed OU's best baseball player, Brian Shackelford. It was a disaster and the funniest OU crossover ever. I need more details, Ferris from Hong Kong. Please fill me in. Evan from Blanchard said, if he could play at Kennesaw State, he'll be fine at OU. Yeah, I meant to bring this up in the first segment. I guess I haven't yet. Oklahoma may be adding another Kennesaw State transfer in the days ahead.
Oh, that's going to go over well.
Number 3. You got punter Jacob Ulrich, already locked in and signed with Oklahoma. You got tight end Carson Kent. All Conference USA tight end Carson Kent signed with Oklahoma. Do not be shocked if in the next few days Oklahoma picks up a commitment from kicker Austin Welch, also a former Kennesaw State Owl.
Is there a liaison between Oklahoma and Kennesaw State? Because these two seem pretty familiar in a concerning way.
Apparently, OU decided to just poach Kennesaw State's entire special teams unit, which they got a lot of run this year because Kennesaw State wasn't doing a whole lot of scoring. So Jacob Ulrich, he was punting a lot.
We know he can play.
Yeah, he can do it. Austin Wells, I think he was 14 of 18 on field goal attempts this past season. His long is 49. His long on the season was 49 yards. I don't really know what to think of that one because my understanding, too, is that Austin Welch is going to be on scholarship at Oklahoma. They're going to give him one of the 85. I don't love that for a guy that has kicked for 1 year because he was at Eastern Kentucky for 3 years, 3 seasons. Never attempted a kick there. Transferred to Kennesaw State for the 2024 season, won the job, 14 of 18. Apparently all 4 of his misses came in the last month of the season, too. So he started out really strong and then did not have a strong finish. But apparently OU is poised to add a scholarship kicker to the fold. I get you got to have more than one kicker, but I believe OU's last scholarship specialist prior to Jacob Ulrich and now potentially Austin Welch would have been Casey Kelleher, the long snapper who was here from 2017 to 22. They haven't rostered any scholarship specialists the last 2 seasons. I guess Michael Turk was on scholarship at that same time, 21-22.
I almost said Burke. I was gonna ask you about Michael Turk.
But, potentially 2 scholarship specialists for Oklahoma, both of them from Kennesaw State.
So is Liam Evans not on scholarship?
No, he is not. He is a walk-on.
So they're going to bring in another kicker and give him a scholarship.
Yes. And that is also kind of what I can't figure out. You know, if there is a scholarship to give, why wouldn't you give it to Liam Evans?
You know, the guy who was here?
The guy who was here.
Year?
The guy who was one of the top 5 kickers in the country coming out of high school.
Yeah.
The guy that made a real hard push as a true freshman to win that job over Zach Schmidt and Tyler Kelly. I mean, that's the direction I would go, but not my call to make.
It's definitely an interesting move.
It is. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Okay, let's hit a break. We are overdue for our final break of the hour here. When we return, we'll continue fielding your texts on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Horns Down Apple Pie Liquor is not your grandma's apple pie unless your grandma was a moonshiner with a PhD in flavor. This all-natural 6-time distilled spirit is sure to light up any party, tailgate, or special occasion. Whether toasting a touchdown or yelling at the Yums because Spike was safe, Horns Down Apple Pie is the perfect drink for celebrating the highs and lows of life in Oklahoma. Horns Down celebrates all of you who cheer from the berm, tailgate, on Lindsay Street, and wreak havoc on social media. You can find our red bottle at your local liquor store or search for your closest location at drinkhornsdown.com.
that has treated customers like family for over 65 years. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Sooners aren't the only team in Norman killing it in the transfer portal. Bob Stoops.
Some of the things that they do, it's a little bit questionable, but like, seriously, you did that?
Dusty Dvorak.
The last thing that you want to have happen is find yourself falling behind.
Brian Bosworth.
It's such a great call because they disguised the blitz.
The Ref continues to prove this is the home of Sooner fans. The Ref is SEC ready. Are you?
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
When you're sick, you need to be seen by a health professional today, not next week. Norman Regional Urgent Care is here for you from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Open 7 days a week at Porter Health Village in Norman and Monday through Friday in Westmore and Goldsby. No appointment needed, just walk right in. Whether it's a sudden illness or a minor injury, Norman Regional Urgent Care is ready to get you back on your feet today, not next week.
Here at the Ref, we know football, and we talk football every single day. But it wouldn't be possible without the great people at Wade Electric. Because while we know football, we trust Wade Electric for all of our electrical needs. Anytime we need electrical work done at our station, we call Wade Electric. They've been out to install new exterior lighting, convert interior lighting to LED, update devices, and install new power where needed. Call them today at 405-329-1940. Wade Electric, the electrical experts.
Spend Sundays with the Sooners and save big on tickets and concessions. New this year, the Sooner Sunday 4-pack is available for nearly all Sunday sporting events and includes 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and 1 popcorn for as little as $40. Feed and entertain your crew of 4 or more on Sundays year-round for as little as $10 per person. Visit Soonersports.com/Sunday to browse upcoming events and to save big with the all-new Sooner Sunday 4-pack today.
Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters.
Hi, this is Martina McBride. With online news, social media, and texting available 24/7, the world seems to be spinning faster and faster every day. And it can be overwhelming. Sometimes we just need to unplug and take a break from our electronic devices. It can help reduce stress and allow us to reflect on the things that are really important in our lives.
This message brought to you courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Breaking news. Oklahoma has hired Zach Alley's replacement. The Sooners' next defensive coordinator will be Kennesaw State defensive coordinator Greg Harris.
You're an idiot.
I'm only kidding.
You're an idiot.
I'm only kidding. Get your Kennesaw State jokes in while you can. Making the most of the moment. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you on Locked In. No, OU has not yet hired Zach Alley's replacement. That's what we're all waiting on. I imagine we'll discuss that in great detail coming up on The Rush. Teddy Lehman and I are going to have you from 3 to 6 p.m. here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. For those of you that have chimed in throughout the hour on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, thank you as always. Jolly Fat Boy in Amarillo asked, any update on the kid from UTEP or RMT staying? You got us excited to have both of them next year. R. Mason Thomas is going to be back, as I understand that's and look, I can no longer speak in certainties because of the world in which we live, the current era of college football. But it is overwhelmingly likely that our Mason Thomas will return next year. As far as Mo Westmoreland, I don't know. I mean, that would be an incredible addition for Oklahoma. But there is no visit that is scheduled yet to Oklahoma for Mo Westmoreland. So, plenty of time for something to materialize. Nothing has materialized in the 4 days since he picked up the Oklahoma offer.
Do you think our Mason Thomas potentially returning will factor into whether Mo Westmoreland decides to come to Oklahoma or not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, those are, and I know they're similar in style, and maybe you want two guys on either side that are a little bit different. Maybe you want a bigger, bulkier guy like an Ethan Downs to replace Downs himself. But to me, you just play the two best dudes at defensive end, and Mo Westmoreland and R. Mason Thomas, to me, like those are your starting defensive ends next year. And, you adjust accordingly if they start getting it handed to them in the run game and they can't set the edge. I think they're both more than capable of that. But I think that would be one of the most dynamic defensive end tandems in the entire country if you could pair R. Mason Thomas with Mo Westmoreland. Kyle from Shawnee asks, anything on the DB from Washington State? Oklahoma has remained confident that they're going to land Ethan O'Connor. Touched in with a couple of folks last night and this morning on that whole situation. Nothing has changed. Everything's still the same as far as I'm aware. They expect to land Ethan O'Connor. It hasn't happened yet. It's been a drawn-out process. It's been, 3 weeks since he was on campus with the Sooners? Even so, they feel as though he's going to wear the crimson cream in the end.
Zach Alley leaving doesn't really have much of an effect on that one.
No.
Okay.
No. Jay Valai is the type of guy, too, where he doesn't really have to rely on anybody else to help him do his job. And certainly, you lose a defensive coordinator, there's going to be some part of you that wonders, does the scheme look the same? Does my opportunity look the same? But Jay Valai is a very independent recruiter and has always been. That's not to say nobody else chips in recruiting cornerbacks, but pretty much any cornerback that commits to Oklahoma, they'll tell you, the reason I committed to Oklahoma was because Jay Valai is my guy. So,
Sooner bump on the text line. Parker, I love you, but that blank ain't funny. Also, he wanted us to read this. If that was me on a hot mic, the ref would be shut down, and then we'd have to listen to those other people on the other station. Parker Grayson, which I guess I'm known as LeBron for some people. Have a happy and safe New Year.
Why do they call you LeBron?
Because I'm in the camp that LeBron is the GOAT.
Oh, gotcha.
I think me and Steely got into that conversation.
So you're a
one
Bron
time.
stan.
Well, I grew up a Kobe guy. That's why I'm a Lakers fan.
Okay.
So, just by virtue of that, I do root for LeBron, and I do hold that he is the GOAT.
A 405 listener says, Parker's starting to sound like he knows more football than Coach V. No. Brent Venables has forgotten more about football than 99.9% of the general population will ever know. But I get paid for my opinion. I'll give my opinion. No, you heck says, anything on the DB from USC? No, good. I don't like Muleshoe either. Clever, you heck. Clever. Chris from Knoxville says South Carolina played two elite pass rushers, and it worked out great for them. Yeah, it sure did.
Kyle Kennard and
those two pass rushers helped win South Carolina the game in Norman within 5 minutes.
Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart are fantastic.
Yeah, those boys are good.
That's 2 top 10 picks in the draft on the same defensive line.
Mm-hmm. 50-year-old Mistake asks, are we getting the Pittsburgh State tight end coach as well? Cherokee Sooner adds, Western Kennesaw State. Oklahoma is Kennesaw State West. Beautiful. I'm going to have to tally up the numbers, but I believe it's 11 total transfers for Oklahoma right now that are on scholarship, and I think, 5 of 11 off the dome here are FCS transfers, and another 3 of the 11 or another 2 of the 11 are Kennesaw State transfers. Mojo.
Basically a quarter.
No, stop, people. Stop fighting about LeBron and Jordan on the text line. This is not the conversation that we're going to have on this fine Tuesday afternoon. Josh in Tulsa says, Parker and Tyler, I think Allie leaving was a good thing. It seems to have galvanized the players and coaches together. Also, him fibbing burned the bridge with him taking anyone with him. Well, Tyler, what do you think about that?
You know, first of all, I think the name Tyler fits me a little bit. I do think it's a good point. And I think it also plays into why I agree with you that it's not as catastrophic as you otherwise would think it is. Losing a coordinator in that sudden of a fashion that they did. He never landed a recruit.
Not once.
And so far from what we know, the players were not thrilled with how he left.
No.
So this isn't going to be a situation where he poaches from your lineup to go improve his next destination. So I do think in the ways that you can lose a high-profile coach, this was the best way for Oklahoma to have done it.
I would tend to agree. This did feel galvanizing, to go back to the original text. It did feel like, and that was the silver lining when Lincoln Riley left, is everybody kind of banded together, said, okay, we're Oklahoma, screw that guy, we're 10 toes down for this program. And obviously the reaction has not been as explosive, if you will, as it was with Lincoln Riley.
Right.
But there's been kind of the same sentiment with Zach Alley's departure because, you hear the stories, and it's true that he had stated in several conversations with players and other staffers leading up to this past weekend that he was going to stick around at Oklahoma. He gives the non-answer, the non-denial in the radio interview, and then boom, 24 hours later, he's taking the job at West Virginia. So that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
But would you rather have that, or would you rather have Lincoln quit after 12 hours after Bedlam?
I mean, there's never going to be any comparison between the two, just because that was seismic for so many reasons and in so many ways.
Sure.
There's never going to be another there might not be anything for the remainder of our lifetimes that shakes the Oklahoma football machine to its core and shakes the fan base to its core the way that Lincoln Riley's departure did. That's going to be without parallel. But it's not hard to look at the way that Zach Alley left and conclude that there are some similarities, at least as far as the process, to the way that he departed. And it hurts and it sucks, but it's going to bring dudes together in that locker room. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Stop talking about LeBron and Jordan. Next person to text in about LeBron and Jordan gets
getting blocked.
Spartan Sooner says, as much as everyone talks about going after corners in the portal, if we can get a healthy Gentry Williams, that would be as big a get as you could find in the portal. Yeah, amen to that, Spartan Sooner. And I think that's part of the reason why Oklahoma hasn't sought out multiple corners in the portal. They're going after Ethan O'Connor. Ethan O'Connor is one of the absolute best in the portal at that position. At this point in time, amongst guys that are still out there on the open market, he might be the best. And so, given that you need another scholarship corner, you might as well take a swing at the dude that's better than the rest. But somebody's going to be the odd man out, right? Let's say you land Ethan O'Connor. Who are your starters next year? Because you can only start two of Gentry Williams, Ethan O'Connor, Eli Bowen. Somebody's coming off the bench. They'll have to battle that out on the practice field. I can't necessarily tell you right now what the outcome is going to be, but if you have three excellent cornerbacks on your roster with elite potential, because I think all of those guys have elite potential and they've shown that, you're in really, really good shape.
Now you cross into, and this is from my AAU experiences,
Oh, boy.
This is when you cross into that managing ego situation, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's just say Gentry Williams, and I know we got to go here in a little bit. Let's just say Gentry Williams and Ethan O'Connor are your starting corners.
Okay.
Eli Bowen was praised as one of the best freshman DBs in the entire country last year. How does he go from that to all of a sudden being a rotational piece?
Yeah. Well, I think the fortunate aspect of all that is, and I don't know Ethan O'Connor that well yet, but I've gotten to know Gentry Williams and Eli Bowen and covering them for years at this point. Neither of those guys have much of an ego, so you shouldn't have to manage that.
That is good.
That is undeniably good.
That makes the job a hell of a lot easier.
Does Ethan O'Connor have an ego? I don't know, but you know, at the very least, you don't have to manage egos with two of those three guys. All right, we're out of time here on Locked In. Grayson Singleton, thanks for hanging in Tyler McComas' stead. The Rush is coming up. Keep filling it up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line 405-651-3439.